What's good? What's good? It is a beautiful, sunny Sunday morning, and I'm feeling optimistic about the future. Knock on some wood. I don't want to jinx myself, but part of this whole manifesting mindset, I do believe that your mindset, your conscious mindset can program your subconscious mindset, and your subconscious mindset is very, very powerful. And I've been trying so hard for the last few years to do reprogramming, and I feel like I've made significant progress. And I don't say that to brag or boast, but I say that to encourage you to not give up on yourself and for you to make progress. Specifically, I have been really heavily utilizing cognitive behavioral therapy techniques. A big thing that I'm guilty of is getting into like rumination cycles. So when I acknowledge that I'm in a cycle, you got to break that cycle somehow. And it's pretty easy to acknowledge your cycles, but it's very difficult to break them and to consistently break them to reprogram. But it's possible. It is possible. It's hard. It's difficult, but possible. And I had this thought recently, just while I was driving here. Some people battle demons because they do not want to become one. And those people, if they win, generally tend to be some of the best people because they know what wrestling with demons looks like. Whereas some people turn into demons because it is easier to do that than it is to battle them. And I think in our society, you could say, there's the whole Matrix metaphor, the red pill and the blue pill. It's not a direct correlation, but there's a lot of overlap in that the people who choose the red pill, who want to awaken, are the people who face and confront and fight their demons, versus the people who decide to just stick their head in the sand. They kind of become demons. They become complicit in a lot of ways. And where I'm currently at in my battle is I've overcome a lot of these cycles, which is nice, but there's this kind of emptiness that I need to fill. That emptiness stemming from what I used to give my energy to, the outrage cycle specifically. I feel like I still try to stay informed a little bit, but I have moved past most of the outrage cycle that the mainstream media propagandists push on us. That's their job. It's to inflict misery within your brain. It is to poison your brain, and it is to sow division between the population, which is why we need to have no division. You can get your shirts in the link in the description below. Also like, comment, share, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. But now that I have this emptiness, it's a very, very almost I cannot say this word, equanimity. So equanimous, there we go. Just like sort of a neutral pleasantness. And I like it. And I want to hold on to it as long as I can. And another element to this is not just breaking the outrage cycle, but also integrating something that I call radical normality as a telos for transmutation. I did a whole video on that. I would recommend you check it out. It was like a few weeks ago. Just go to my channel. But essentially, I have radical views, but I have normalized them in a way where I don't get super worked up and super angry about them as much anymore. So like one radical view I have, our government is fascist. Police officers are bootlickers. It is what it is. It's almost like a stoic response. And I do love me some stoicism. I think philosophy is just so beautiful, Religion is maybe not so good, but philosophy is good. And so trying to be more neutral about things that I cannot control and more positive and action oriented about the things that I can actually control. Which is why I'm thankful that I've been able to develop this vision of community, because you can influence and control your direct surroundings to an extent, unless you're in jail, but you can still influence and control your mind. I think of Epictetus a lot because I think cops are bootlickers and the state is fascist and needs resisted at every turn. I could end up in jail. I don't think it's in my path, but I do think about it at times. And if that ever does happen, I'm going to really need to lean into some Epictetus teachings. He was a slave for a lot of his life, but did not let that sort of control his mind. He still saw himself, in a sense, as a free man because he still had his mind. And that's a very beautiful thing, a very beautiful mentality to have, because we are slaves, in a sense, to this system. And it's a very loaded word, and I wish maybe we could find a better word, but those of us in the working class, we're cattle. We are, as I say this often, resources to the elites that need managing and controlled. And we are just energy, sources of energy that they can extract from. Some people, I've heard this term loosh. I'm not super familiar with that, but I just see it as our divine energy. This gift that we have in this third dimension reality, this material reality that we get to participate in, it's a gift. And so when Jesus says or said that heaven is here on earth, I think that's the message he was trying to convey. Sure, there are other dimensions, and when this physical body dies, an essence of me, my soul perhaps, potentially, it might go on to another adventure. Who knows? But while my soul is kind of trapped in this physical body, that is the goal. It is to interact with this beautiful planet and what it has to offer. And this solar system and this universe, you think if potentially reincarnation is real in 1,000 years, where will humanity be? How will your soul have developed and contributed to the evolution of humanity? Eventually, we will just become a space colonizing people. But even that word colonizing has, it's loaded. And so it's as we sort of move away from the old paradigm, I think it is important that we upgrade or update our language to be more in alignment with our values and our vision. Our being the collective of humanity that chose not to become demons, as I had talked about earlier. And so I think I'll just wrap up the video kind of encouraging you to try and break free from the outrage cycle. It is important to still stay somewhat informed, but ultimately your immediate surroundings and community are where you should be focusing your energy, because that's how you can make change. The national and the global scale is very scary, is very daunting to look at, and you shouldn't ignore it. But ultimately, remember that the ripple you can create at your local level can have a magnitude of effects outward, potentially. But the focus really needs to be your community. I'm doing my best to save money so I can buy land, because I want to contribute to these intentional communities that are being discussed and developed. And I just think that would be so awesome to have, between 20 to 30 people, a couple hundred acres where we are mostly self-sufficient. That seems awesome to me. If you want to be a city dweller, cool. More power to you. I think we should have more flexibility in the way people decide to live. But right now, our ruling class doesn't want that. They want us controlled, contained, so they can extract as much as they can from us. I'll end the video there. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Much love.